We are the first humans in history with everything we'd ever need to be healthy. Supplements for every deficiency, more food than we could ever eat, a gym on every corner, and a doctor down the road. So why are we the most tired, bloated, anxious, and out-of-shape people who have ever lived? Meanwhile, 2,000 years ago, a Roman had none of it. No supplements, no science, no gym, and he was leaner, tougher, and healthier at 40 than most men today are at 25. That's the contradiction this video is going to solve. We were handed everything and got weaker. They had almost nothing and got stronger. So where exactly did we go wrong? And what did the Romans understand that we've completely forgotten? It wasn't one trick. It was a system. 6 habits locked together, each one holding up the next. And the last of the 6 is the one modern men get exactly backwards. It's the reason all your effort still isn't working. So stay to the end and subscribe if you want more of this, because we're going to take that system apart, one piece at a time. And it starts with the drink they carried everywhere, the one you've been taught to pour down the sink. Which brings us to the first habit. They drank their vinegar. Every Roman soldier carried it, a drink called posca, cheap wine vinegar cut with water. It was the drink of the legions, the workers, the slaves. Even the Emperor Hadrian drank it, to stand as one of his soldiers. You've actually heard of this drink, even if you don't know it. When the Gospels describe a sponge of sour wine lifted to a dying man on the cross, that was posca, the soldier's drink. It was everywhere. To us, it sounds mad. Drink vinegar? We drink the opposite. Sugary energy drinks. Sports drinks dyed blue. A pre-workout scoop that spikes you and drops you an hour later. But the Romans stumbled onto something we're only now rediscovering. Modern research has confirmed it again and again. Diluted vinegar lowers your blood sugar. The acetic acid slows how fast carbohydrates hit your bloodstream. And a Roman lived on a lot of grain like bread, hardtack, and porridge. That cup of posca flattened the blood sugar spike all that starchy food would otherwise cause, and kept his energy steady from dawn to dusk. And this matters far more than energy. Every time your blood sugar spikes, your body scrambles to clear it. And doing that all day, for years, is what slowly wears the system out. It's the road to weight gain, to type 2 diabetes, and to the clogged, inflamed arteries behind heart attacks. Flatten the spikes, and you take that strain off. So this one small habit isn't about energy, it's about the thing quietly breaking modern men from the inside. So look at what's wrong with you. The modern man rides that roller coaster from morning to night. Spike, crash, crave, repeat. The mid-afternoon wall, the energy that needs another coffee to hold it up. Luckily, the fix costs almost nothing, a spoon of vinegar in water before a meal heavy in carbs. It won't cure anything by itself, but every spike you flatten is strain you're not putting on your body. The Romans did it without knowing why. You get to do it knowing exactly what it buys you. But steady energy is worthless if what you're eating is quietly poisoning you. And here's where the Romans expose the biggest lie in modern fitness, the one you've spent the most money believing. Which brings us to the second habit. They ate real food, not supplements. Picture a gladiator, the most feared fighter in the ancient world. You're probably picturing a mountain of muscle built on slabs of meat, and if you tried to build that body today, you'd reach for the same thing everyone does. The protein tubs, the shelf of supplements, and the powder that costs more than the food. Yet the bones say you're wrong. In 1993, archaeologists uncovered a gladiator graveyard in the Roman city of Ephesus. When scientists analyzed those bones, the truth came out. The most feared fighters in the ancient world were built on simple, whole food, grains, barley, and beans. Meat was rare, a luxury they mostly went without. So instead, they ate so much barley that Romans mocked them with a nickname, hordearii, the barley men. No powder, no pills, no lab-made shortcut, just real food, eaten to fuel real work. And it gets stranger. Their bones held far more calcium than any ordinary Romans, because after training, they drank a tonic of plant ash, a rough, bitter brew that flooded the body with minerals to harden the bones and speed healing. Scientists called the calcium in those bones exorbitant. But here's the point. They got it from a real source, not a capsule. An ancient supplement made of actual food. Now here's the part that matters most, and it's the opposite of everything you've been told. By modern standards, a gladiator probably ate less protein than you do. Less than the influencers scream is the bare minimum. And it didn't hold him back one bit, because every single thing he ate was whole, real, and unprocessed. That's the trade the modern man has backwards. We obsess over the protein number and completely ignore the quality of the food it comes in. This was never about meat versus plants. Eat your protein. It matters. It's about real versus fake. The gladiators prove you can build a ferocious body on cheap, whole, unprocessed food, even with less protein than the modern rulebook allows. Fix that first, and the supplements shrink back to what they were always meant to be. A small extra on top of real food, not a replacement for it. But eating like that should have left them weak and soft. It didn't, and the reason is in how they spent those calories. Because the Romans didn't just eat like men who worked, they moved like them, in a way modern training has completely forgotten. Which brings us to the third habit. They carried, they didn't lift. Before a Roman recruit was ever handed a weapon, he had to master one thing first: walking under weight. The historian Vegetius gives us the standard: 20 Roman miles, nearly 30 kilometers, carrying 20 kilograms on his back in 5 hours. That is not just a workout. That is a way of living inside a strong body all day long. Now, look at the modern man. He isolates. He sits on a machine and curls a weight to grow one muscle he can see in the mirror. He builds a body that looks capable in a photo and falls apart carrying the shopping up the stairs. The Romans built the opposite, a body that could carry, endure, and keep going for hours. And here's what should interest you. That exact practice has come roaring back. We call it rucking, loaded walking. And the research is clear. Carrying weight over distance builds real-world strength, deep endurance, and denser, harder bones, with a fraction of the joint damage of running or heavy lifting. This fixes the most common failure of the modern body, looking trained, but being useless. A body built for the camera instead of for life. Put weight on your back. Walk with it. Build strength that actually carries you through a day. But that much work should have ground them into the dirt, marching, hauling, fighting, day after day, that breaks a body down. Theirs didn't break, because they'd turned recovery into a daily science. And they did it in a way we've only just started selling back to ourselves as a luxury. Which brings us to the fourth habit. They bathed in fire and ice. The Roman bath was not a wash. It was a system. By the 4th century, there were around 850 of them in the city of Rome alone. And every man moved through them in a deliberate order. First, the warm room, to open the body. Then the caldarium, a hot, steaming chamber, close to a modern sauna, where the sweat poured out. They used no soap. Instead, they oiled the skin and scraped it clean with a curved metal blade called a strigil. Sweat and grime and all. And then, last, the frigidarium, the cold room. A plunge into cold water that hit the body like a shock. Hot, then cold. Every day. On purpose. The sauna, the cold plunge. Contrast therapy. We think we invented this. Modern research ties deep heat exposure to a stronger heart and a longer life, and the cold that follows to sharper recovery and better circulation. The Romans built the whole cycle into ordinary life for everyone, for free. And here's what it fixes. The modern man lives in a flat, climate-controlled box. 72 degrees, every room, every season. His body is never made hot, never made cold, never forced to adapt, and a system that's never stressed slowly goes soft. The Roman bath was deliberate stress, then deliberate recovery. Steal the pattern. End your shower cold. Sit in the heat, then break it with the cold. Give your body the signal it's been starved of. But the cold plunge was only the gentlest way the Romans hardened themselves. The toughest thing they did wasn't physical at all. It was a choice, and it's the one that separates them from us most completely. Which brings us to the fifth habit. They chose to be uncomfortable. We spend our whole lives running from discomfort. Warmer, softer, easier. Every problem solved by a purchase, every hard edge sanded off, and we are more anxious, more fragile, and more miserable than ever. The Romans ran the other way. Their greatest thinkers practiced discomfort on purpose. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, set aside days to eat the plainest food and wear the roughest clothes, and while he did it, he asked himself one question. Is this the thing I was so afraid of? Musonius Rufus, the man they called the Roman Socrates, trained his students against cold, heat, hunger, and hard ground, because a man who has never met hardship will shatter the moment it finds him. They met the hard thing on their own terms, in small doses, so it could never blindside them. Musonius said it plainly. Train yourself against cold and hunger and hardship, and the body becomes sturdy, ready for anything, while the man who avoids all of it stays soft and breaks at the first real test. And this is the deepest fix so far. The modern man's real disease is comfort. He's never cold, never hungry, never bored, never tested, so the smallest hardship feels like a catastrophe. Slow Wi-Fi ruins his morning. A missed meal feels like an emergency. He's lost the ability to sit with anything unpleasant, and it's made him fragile in a way no amount of muscle can hide. Choose the discomfort before life chooses it for you. A cold shower, a skipped meal, a hard task done without complaint. Each one is quiet proof to yourself that you can take it. And that brings us, finally, to the peace I promised you at the start. Because you can do all 5 of these, the vinegar, the food, the marching, the cold, the hardship, and still feel like something's missing. 5 habits of iron discipline, and an empty feeling underneath them you can't explain. The Romans knew why, and it's the one thing modern men get exactly backwards. Which brings us to the 6th habit. They lived for something bigger than themselves. Here's the mistake. We think discipline comes first, and then, once we're disciplined enough, we'll finally feel like the man we're trying to become. The Romans knew it runs the other way. The reason comes first. The discipline follows from it. Their ideal was never a good-looking body. It was a man of duty, a man with a role to his family, his people, his city. Strength existed to be used, in service of something. It had a point. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, the most powerful man alive, woke each morning and told himself he was rising to do the work of a human being, that the warm bed and the soft life were not what he was made for. He had a duty, and the duty came first. Now look at the modern man, strong, maybe, but adrift, training for the mirror with no mission behind it, scrolling for hours because nothing pulls hard enough to make him put the phone down. This is why your effort keeps fizzling out, not because you lack willpower, but because it's pointed at nothing. Discipline with no reason is a fire with nothing to burn. It goes out. And here's what the science says now. What the Romans knew by instinct. A man with a strong sense of purpose lives longer, stays healthier, and holds together under pressure that breaks aimless men. Lose your reason, and the body follows the mind down. Purpose isn't a soft, optional extra. It's the thing holding the whole structure up. So find the thing you're strong for, a person to protect, a craft to master, a duty that makes your discipline mean something. Get that right, and the other 5 stop feeling like a fight. They become what a man like that simply does. Now step back and see the whole machine. The posca steadies the fuel the food provides. The food builds the body, the marching forges. The marching earns the recovery the baths deliver. The hardship hardens the mind. And the purpose points the whole thing somewhere worth going. 6 pieces, and not one of them works alone. Pull a single one out, and the rest begin to sag. That's what a system is. Every part holding up the others. That's the whole difference between them and us. We buy pieces, shortcuts, a powder for this, a pill for that, a gadget for the other. The Romans built a system, and the system built the man. If you want that full system, the exact science behind each of these 6 habits, and the day-by-day plan to actually live them, I've built it into my guide, The Art of Living Like a Man. It's the complete method, not just the highlights. The link is in the description. And let me be honest with you, because that's the whole point of this channel. The Romans weren't perfect. They drank from lead pipes and sweetened their wine with lead, and it poisoned them slowly. They got plenty wrong. But the 6 things they got right, they got more right than we do, and those are the ones worth stealing. The ancient way exists to recover what was lost. Pick one of these 6, start today, and become the kind of man Rome was built by.